First of all, thank you so much to all the crew, the Scottish Summit team for putting this together. It's an amazing opportunity for all of us to learn more, and I really appreciate the depth of the content that's available to the conference and the opportunity to present here. Thank you so much for it. We would like also to thank the sponsors, Script Runner, DQ Global, Proximal 3, Red Spire, Agilicis, and Hitachi Solutions. So thank you so much for contributing to the event and making it happen. Hopefully, it's going to be an in-person event soon here, past this COVID nightmare. All right. Again, my name is Victor Dantas. I'm a Power Community Ambassador. I run events for the community. This is one of the things that I really enjoy doing, which is just making content available for all of the folks out there. So really appreciate being part of the community and helping everybody get better in what they do, and also myself learning a lot with the community. I'm also a mentor in the Zero to Hero mentorship series. We did. We're just going to be finishing one up in March and starting another one soon here. Um, I am on Twitter, Dantas Power. You can connect with me there, and also on my website, dantas.ca. You can scan the QR code that you see on the deck to get to know more about me, connect on my YouTube channel, and we can start interacting. All right. Um, this is a quote that I use a lot. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens another. I do believe that's the best way for us to achieve lasting success is to help others in the pursuit of success themselves, be it career improvement, personal improvement. I think if we collaborate and help others succeed, we succeed ourselves. Okay. All right, for today, the first thing we're going to be looking at is how we can set up a new instance of portals. Then we're going to be looking at infrastructure within the Maker website, analyze each part of Maker, what it pertains to, which area pertains to portals, and how we can go about managing portals there. We're going to look at a quick example on how we can use branding and theming on portals. We're going to be looking at Power Portals internals, which all the objects, all the entities associated with portals. Then we're going to look at data verge components. And you hear me interchangeably use, data verge, CDS, or Dynamics 365 backend. I'm just trying to bring everybody up to speed in the terminology changes. So if I say all three at the same time, or if I say one of them, please know that I'm referring to the same thing. All right. Just don't want to, folks that haven't been exposed to the terminology changes should be lost in the middle there. All right. And then finally, we're going to look at liquid development, some instructions that you can use on your portals, and how you can go about customizing your portals using those components. All right, how do I get started with portals? How can I provision a portal? So the first thing you need to do is, or the first thing you need is a CDS environment and or data verge environment. And in that environment, you need a data verge database provision there. So if you have an environment ready that you use, you can go to admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com/environments. So here's the address to get there. If you don't have an environment, you can then you can actually provision one, a community plan that will allow you to experiment Power Apps or any components of the Power Platform for that matter. So you can request one by navigating to powerapps.microsoft.com and then your country or region community plan. And you can see the steps there will guide you through creating your own environment. All right. So once you have an environment, what you want to make sure is that your environment has the database installed, right? If you're creating a new one, you can ensure, so you can ensure that you select this option here, create a database for this environment. All right, you need a database to run portals. PowerApps Portal is a little different from regular Canvas apps. Canvas apps allows you to connect to different data sources, a SQL Server database, an Azure SQL database, even other different sources. For PowerApps Portals rely on the Dataverse database or CDS database for that matter. So you need one. So once you created your environment, you can go to maker or make.powerapps.com and you see different options here. You can create a Canvas app if that's your thing, model-driven app, or a PowerApps Portals from here. In my environment, I don't have any of the Dynamics 365 apps installed. I don't have sales, I don't have customer service, I don't have any of that. So the only portal option that I have available is portals from blank, all right? And that's gonna give me a very vanilla install of portals. If you have sales or customer service or any of those two apps installed, if you go to create and if you type portals here, you're gonna have access to different templates. So you'll be able to create a customer service portal type, which is portals with a lot of functionality already pre-built for customer service, customer case management, if you will. You're gonna have knowledge base article library here if you install this template. All right. If you have sales, you can have partner management installed for you. So which it is portals, but then with some extra functionality that will get you up and running in no time. But in my scenario though, I only have portals from blank. So in here, I can click this option, then I can give it a name. It can be whatever name you decide. I can call it sample portal. All right. And you got to give it a unique name. So your sample portal if you want. All right. And you can, from here, you can click to create. Pretty much in 5 to 10 minutes at the most, you're going to have portals ready for you. So once the install is completed, you're going to get one application for your portals listed here, and then another one that's called portal management. All right. This is your portals application, and portal management is a model-driven app to give you access to the internals, to the back end of portals. So we're going to have a look at those shortly. So let's go back to the slide deck and see where we are so we can proceed with our lecture here today. All right. So portals management. Let's take a look at what's behind the scenes in terms of portals administration, in terms of data management associated with portals, and also CMS. All right. I was just saying that when you install portals, you get two core items here, two core apps. One is the portal itself, the other one is management. If I were to click here, I have an option to see settings, and I can also navigate to the portal. So I'm going to click here for us to access the portal management model-driven app. Again, we're going to be exposed to the internal information of portals. When we access this area, you see here that I have navigation items to all objects or tables associated to portals. So I can see that I have a websites table. If I'm using data version naming conventions, we used to call it entities for CDS, even for Dynamics 365 admin work. And I have a bunch of other entities here, websites, entity forms, lists, web files, so on and so forth. When we installed Portals, Microsoft created all this stuff for us. There is a bunch of data associated to Portals here. And as you go, you see some of this stuff that Microsoft has put in place for us. All right. So everything that's created in Portals is stored in a Dataverse database, and it's accessible through the Portal Management app. All right. All right. Let's go back to the Maker interface, and now we're gonna click on Settings in the Portal Management area. Actually, let me step back. We're gonna go to this app here, the Portals app itself, and click Settings. So in here, you have authentication settings, administration, and site settings. Authentication settings is an interface that Microsoft put in place for us to facilitate creating administrating site settings or identity providers. Okay, so if you want to configure Facebook authentication for your portals or LinkedIn, Google, Twitter, and Microsoft Access, you can quickly jump in here and click to configure. So Microsoft's giving us a wizard-like interface to go through the setup step by step. Now, everything that you do through this interface, and it's guided, like I said, also is available through the Portals Management application. Okay, if I were to navigate to Site Settings in this option here, I would see all of the configurations that are available through this guided step-by-step interface. So here we are looking at Microsoft login provider. I can go to Site Settings and then filter Microsoft, and I should see entries here. Right? So everything that we do through this interface gets updated into the site setting keys. All right? So again, as you go through and you experiment some of these areas of Portals administration, know that everything that's done through these interfaces will always be available through this Portal Management backend application. All right? So another area of this interface is called Portal Studio. Portal Studio allows us to change information about the app, more like the visual information, page content, if you want to start to customize your look and feel and all that. That's how we do it. Again, everything that we do through the through Portal Studio is also available through the backend in Portal Management. But it's just a lot easier to do these changes through Studio. All right, let's wait until it loads. All right, here's my Portal Studio. Now I have an experience here, or an IDE, or an interface that's somewhat similar to what Canvas app look like. I can make changes straight to these particular areas here. I can say, and let's wait for my machine to allow me to make those changes. All right, slow, so I can say hello, Scottish Summit folks, and this change is immediately completed on my portal. So I can click to browse, and I should see my changes propagated here on the public website. All right, can go back to Studio, and I can also do, if HTML is my thing and I know my way around it, I can click to see the code, and I can make the changes here. I am in HTML kinda. Save. And again, the information is saved. I can refresh my page and my change is now available here. All right. So you can use that interchangeably. You can make changes directly, or if you know the area and you prefer to do some more HTML changes, you can do it that way as well. Now, I said it about 5 minutes ago that every change that we make translates to data being changed in the backend. So I'm gonna navigate back to the portal management area or model-driven app, and then I'm gonna navigate to the web page area of portal management. You saw that I made some changes to the home page, so I'm going to navigate to home pages. Then I'm going to access the localized content area. And I can then expose my HTML content. And you see that my data is right here. The changes I made got pushed to database. So there is no intermediate storage for portals. Everything that you do in portals is stored in the Dataverse database. Okay, so if you ever make a change and for some reason Studio is acting weird and whatnot, you can always hop back to the backend and see if your changes there, make changes from here, and your changes would be displayed on the portals. And there is one caveat to it that I will explain shortly here, but let's go back to the presentation and make sure that we stay on track. All right, so Portals uses Bootstrap Framework, and that by nature gives us responsive design capabilities on portals. And what I mean by that is, if I were to render my portal page in a smaller presentation, you would see that my page would format and preserve its presentation capability. So nothing is really funky here. It does it nicely. And the reason why it does it, it's because Portal is built using Bootstrap. It's currently using version 3, so not the latest version of Bootstrap, but nonetheless, it gives you the responsive features that you would need. All right, so it does have responsive design. Portal as a product allows you to custom theme it. So Microsoft provides 4 custom themes that you can use, different colors that you can play with. But also you can take your own Bootstrap CSS files, upload it to your portals, and have it work that way. It also supports your own version of Bootstrap. Granted that it doesn't conflict much with the internal Bootstrap template that Portal uses. So in this exercise that we're going to look at now, we're going to see how we can use Microsoft's custom theme, how you would be able to use your own Bootstrap sample, and I will also show you the particular approach that I use when I'm customizing portals for my project and customers. So if you want to make use of Microsoft's custom theme, what you do is from Portal Studio, you navigate to the themes area, then you would select this option here, basic theme. I'm gonna navigate to one other portal that I use because I don't want to mess this one up much, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, I have one other Studio, one other data version environment that I use with mostly out-of-the-box features um, of Power Platform. So I'm gonna navigate to that area. Then here, what do you see? You see a list of another portal that I have available. Call it beta. Then I'm going to edit that portal and then just navigate to the themes area of my portals. All right, so I will click themes, and in this one, I already have enabled a basic theme, and then you see a list of Microsoft's options here, even a dark yellow one. And in my portal sample, I actually took Microsoft's portals, and I have enabled dark mode to some extent. It's just a simple switch, but I want to show you how basic theme looks like in action. All right, so this is using the bluish theme for Microsoft, and I have added this switch to alternate between the blue theme, this guy here, and the dark yellow. Okay, for some reason this thing is not loading, maybe because I'm doing my demo and it wants to embarrass me for some reason. But I've presented this before. I'm not sure why this thing is behaving this way. But anyhow, so we we have blue theme available on this particular portal. Now, let's look at how I would go about if a customer provided me a CSS file for Bootstrap. Okay, if you go back to navigation, you can select the core Bootstrap file here. And again, this uses version 3.36. You can go to a site that provides you examples of Bootstrap um, files. I use bootswatch.com. You can navigate to the v3 area of the site, and then in here you can look for what particular template is close to your customer's requirement. So you can navigate to one of them. All right, let's say that this one does the job. You can then go back and then click to download the minified version of your Bootstrap. Then you can copy all contents, come back here, throw that in there, and you would be done. Okay, so that's a way to do that. You would override the Bootstrap file that Microsoft uses with your own. There are some dangers to it, but if you're pretty secure that your Bootstrap is good to go, you can do that. You can also do a backup of your Bootstrap file, save the content somewhere, and then restore it if you need to. Okay. The other approach is what I prefer to do. Instead of overriding the whole thing completely, what I do is I use a strategy to just build upon what already exists. So instead of clearing and bringing my full version of Bootstrap, what I use is this strategy. You can upload your own file, by clicking this button, and when your file is available, you can then do overrides to the existing setup. So in my scenario, I have just a few instructions here that will change the color of the menu bar for my website. So if I click to save, I can now refresh, and my menu bar has already a different color. So I prefer to do granular changes and then switch on and off if I have to demo it to you to customers to ensure that the change is what they are really looking for instead of uh, overriding the whole thing. So I'm gonna go through a quick exercise on branding strategies here, and just to show how easy it is to take a site, a vanilla site, and bring it your own look and feel. So I changed the CSS first and foremost. Now I'm going to navigate to my home page once again, and I'll make changes to the logo, for example. Right now, my customer doesn't like that logo, so I can click on the image. I can upload a new image. In my example, I'm just going to use one that I already have there, but you can upload your own. Okay, my image changed. I can click outside, and it should show my image there. Oh, I picked the wrong one. I wanted the Power logo. So the image is there. It's a little too big for my taste, so I can extend formatting, and I will do 50% width, and the height will be automatic. So now it's saved and refresh. It didn't save my latest change. Still didn't. Studio does that sometimes. Sometimes we have to click outside and ensure that it's saved. Let me refresh, and now I have my logo in place. So next thing we're gonna change is this particular background image. I can go back to Studio, click on this image here, and you see that it highlighted the image of that it's using. I can then select the one that I want, click outside, make sure that it's saved. I can go back to my page and ensure that it's there. So, I mean, fairly easy couple of steps, and I now have something that I can present to my customer and see if they like it. Again, I can also click on the areas of Studio, click on Source Editor, and I can make the changes directly myself if I know my way with HTML. Okay, so fairly simple example, but it's useful nonetheless. All right, let's go back to the slide deck and let's see where we are. All right, so let's spend some time talking about portal internals before we advance into some of the other stuff. Okay, so portals, we had a chance to step back into the portal management app and see some of the tables or entities available with a fresh install of portals. And I wanted to talk about these components before we talk more in depth into, data verge forms being displayed, views being displayed onto a portal's web page. Okay, so every portal has a core website record. If you have multiple portals in your instance, you'd have multiple website records. And associated with those website records, you have web pages, you have site settings, content snippets, and web files. There are other records, but those are by far the ones that I believe are the most important. Associated with web pages, you have web page localized content, and you may have multiple localized content depending on how many languages you have enabled for portals. If you have a portal that uses both English and French, you'd have two localized content records to cover those languages. Associated with portals as well, you have page templates. It used to be a very powerful part of portals, not as much anymore, and I will explain why shortly here. And again, and furthermore, for web pages, you may have entity forms associated with it, entity views, web forms, so on and so forth. Now, stepping into page templates. like I said, it used to be a very powerful part of Portals because it used to allow us to upload code-based customization, ASP.NET code. We no longer have access to that feature, so the only type of page templates that we can use today are web templates, which allows us to do customization using liquid templates. But that's pretty much the only venue we have, or the only option we have for customization at that level. Now, within web templates, you can use HTML, you can use JavaScript, and you can use Liquid for customization. HTML and JavaScript for client-based customization, and then Liquid as a server-side customization. You know, we use Liquid to fetch data. We use Liquid to decide whether or not to present content to the user at the server level. Okay, so let's have a look at Dataverse components and how they play a role within portals. Okay, so for Dataverse components, we can expose views to portals, we can expose forms to portals, we can define permissions, what kind of data that we present, what kind of data that is supposed to be hidden. Then you have content snippets, little slabs of data, or bytes of data, if you will, that you can decide to present or not to the user, and even make available to CMS admins for them to change instead of having to go to the backend to make those changes. And then again, site settings are settings that we saw, the settings we saw at the beginning of this presentation. So in my example here now, I'm going to create a page, and I'm going to use this blank setup. All right, and I'll call it form entry sample. Okay. Page will also be called that way. All right, I have my page created. It's being saved. Make sure you wait a little bit until it tells you that it's saved. I've had problems there before where it didn't save my changes and I lost it. So you go back to components here, and then in here you can click to show a list. Okay, my list, I'm gonna call it contact list, and the table that I want to use will be the contact table. I can select a view. Again, this is coming from the back end. I will allow users to create records. And I already have one form that ships with portals. It's called the portal contact form. All right. Let's throw that in there. Let's click outside to save. And hopefully this saved my changes. All right. And it did not. Well, maybe it did. It kind of blanked a little. So as you can see, I'm seeing my information here, or my grid, and it's stating that I'm able to create records, so on and so forth. So let's look at settings. You can define how many records you want to list per page. You can enable search here, and you can define whether or not you want to use table permissions. All right, so again, click outside the fields, and again, let's hope that it has saved. And now I can navigate to my page and see the results. So I'm not signed in. That's why it's telling me that I don't have permission. So I'm gonna click to sign in. All right, it's showing my grid. I can see the data. I can click to create, and I can see a form. Sorry, it's taking a little while. You see my form here. I can put data, and that would create a record. Now, my grid is kind of spanning across the screen, so I can also go back to Studio, click on this component, click on code. If you know your way into HTML, you can see that this tag is actually the one that's doing the trick in terms of where my grid should appear. I can copy that and move my grid to a container which would ensure that it's presented within the boundaries of this particular box. Okay, so now my grid looks nice and the information is presented correctly. So that's how you can create Dataverse components. There are some other components that you can use within here. You could add a form straight to a page using the entity form or the forms option from this component. And all you need to do is select the entity that it comes from and the form that you want to use. Again, all the forms from your Dataverse backend. Now, in this example I showed you, when I look at the code, you saw that it's using this funky curly bracket and percent sign. This is actually a liquid instruction. You see, I have some HTML markup here, and then I have told my page that in this particular area, I wanted to display an entity list and the entity list with this particular name. Okay, so what we're going to look at is how and where we can use this particular brackets and what are the most popular commands, if you will. So the presentation, we are pretty much entering the last 10 minutes of the presentation. It's going to go super quick, but I'm going to put out there some resources that you can use as you get to learn more about Liquid, okay? So I am going to navigate to a page called Hello World. This particular page, it's a very, well, I assume it to be a simple page, but it's got content on how to use Liquid, okay? Everything that you see here is information using Liquid commands. So I'm going to navigate to my portals management model-driven app. Then I'm going to navigate to web templates. And in here, I'm going to look for a template called Hello World. Now, I'm going to bring this tab to be displayed side by side with the website. And we're going to take little baby steps here in explaining how all this stuff works, okay? All right, so you see here, I have a first glance header 3 component, all right? And then I'm doing some different things here. Okay, so first thing is I am checking with Liquid whether or not the user object of available to portals is blank or if it's got a value. When it has a value, what it means is that the user there is a user that's logged onto portals. And in my example, what I'm saying is, look, if the user is logged on, say hello and print the name of the user in uppercase. Okay? And that's what it's doing here. Hello, Victor One Dantas. It's just that's the name I given to my user. All right. If the user was not logged on, it would say hello world. All right. I can take this URL and I can open an incognito browser or tab, and you would see that I'm not lying. It's saying hello world. Okay. Now I have another instruction here. It's called unless, which is pretty much reverse, which means is if the full name does not contain Dantas, display this particular well component. Now, in the tab that the user is logged on, it doesn't show anything. But if I go back to the incognito where I'm not logged on, you see that it's presenting the object and it's saying you're not part of the clan. All right? Now, other instructions here. You see, Liquid has some basic data types, string. You can use a sign to declare your variables. And in here, I'm declaring a variable called foo. The content is bar, and then I'm printing the value onto the screen. So it says bar here, all right? There is another way to declare a variable, which is using the capture instruction. So everything between capture and then capture is placed into the variable. It's really cool to use this when you're using special characters. So for me, it's an easier way to do it. Then in the instruction, I'm printing the contents of this variable, and I'm asking the to be printed to replace new lines with BR. Okay, so it's doing exactly that right here on the left. All right. So again, you can declare a variable using a sign. You can use capture depending on what you need there. The way to declare strings is to use the double quotes or single quotes. They both work the same. And you can see it, the results right here. All right. For numeric values, you can assign an integer or a decimal value. They kind of work the same in terms of the way that you declare the variable itself, but then you can use filters to decide, if you want to round or if you want to just an integer to control the numeric type per se. You can declare date values and decide how you present them. You can use this format for that. You can declare arrays. In my example here, I'm declaring this array of speakers, and then I use a for loop to present the names of the speakers right down here. And you can access dictionaries as well. There are some dictionaries available already to portals. The request parameters, for example, is one. Another tag that's used, at least I used quite a few times, is comment. You don't have the // option to comment out. You have to use these particular tags to declare your variables. All right. So that's a quick example on the basic Liquid instructions that you can use to program your website. My friend Jim Novak is doing advanced liquid program presentation, so on the summit as well. So I strongly advise you to go catch his session. He's gonna talk about some cool stuff there. All right. Then I think the other area that I want to talk about is let's see, is liquid template fetching data. So this example here. So I'm gonna go back to the code once again. Where is my? Oh no, it's right here. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna go to another web template. Yes, and quickly go through some instructions there before we call it good. So on this one, I just want to scroll all the way down to the fetch XML tag right down here. In this example, I'm declaring a variable called events, and within my command here, I have placed a fetch query. All right, simple query, just querying this events entity, and I'm assigning the results of the query to a variable called events results. Then I create a table, simple HTML, and then I loop through the events and I build table rows with the result. And the result of this particular fetch XML query is this table here. So again, you can decide, depending on your needs, you can use an entity view to do this type of work. You can query the database yourself. Maybe you want to use some results of the Dataverse before you decide what object to present. So Liquid gives you a lot of power to get things rolling here. All right. All right. I think that's all I have got to this presentation. Well, thank you so much.